next we're going to go to the Triumph, and I already have it threaded up with this new Hidamari Sashiko thread from Japan. I have this on my website now. I have it in 11 or 12 different colors. I have more of it coming. These are all variegated colors. This one's called Denim Blue. It's what I have in the machine. And I'm just going to show you how awesome this is. There's 30 meters on the cone. When we get over here, you'll see the cone. It won't be. This is the packaging that it comes in. What I've got going on over here, is, I'm not going to take it all the way off, but it says Cosmo on it. So this is called Cosmo Hidamari Japanese Sashiko thread. It's 100% cotton. It's a 6-strand, 22 weight. It's actually made for hand Sashiko work, hand applique work. But you know what? Y'all know me well enough to know, y'all know me well enough by now that I like to play with this heavyweight threads in my sewing machines and my sergers. So what I've got this threaded through my chain looper, and right now I have it set up for a triple chain stitch. Get this right up here. Okay. So I have my 3 needles in on the chain stitch side. This would also work in the upper and lower looper. Think upper looper and a rolled hem, for instance. But I'm just going to stitch over some of my stitching we done earlier over here on the Altair, so we can see what this looks like. Okay. I did not have to use a threading cradle to thread this through the chain looper. It went right on through. So, and of course, when we are doing decorative work with a looper, especially on cover stitch, you want your project, just like with bobbin work, you want the right side down. You want the good side down. And we're going to get it started. Ready? Check it out. There is that beautiful Japanese heavyweight handwork thread in the chain looper. That's the triple cover stitch. So next, we're going to use it in the double cover stitch. I'm going to raise my needles all the way up. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the C1 needle, the leftmost needle. So what I'm going to do, presser foot up, I'm going to clip my thread right in front of that needle that I want to remove. Right there. And I'm going to clip it back here. Just pull that out. Let's see, make sure you clip the right thing. There we go. Now I have C1 and C2 still threaded, not C1. I have my middle needle and my rightmost needle, C2 and C3. I'm just going to remove my C1 needle, set it to the side. Now, without having to thread anything, all I had to do was unthread one needle and remove that needle, and I'm good to go with a 2-thread cover stitch. Okay. Check it out. Okay, there's the 3-thread, there's the 2-thread. Someone said earlier, one of y'all said, make beautiful handbag embellishments. Well, this would too. And then I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to remove the C I'm going to remove the middle needle, the C2 needle, and its thread. So I'm going to grab a hold of the thread in front of the needle. I'm going to clip that thread and pull the number 2 thread out from the back of the serger and clip it at the cone. Now that thread is completely out of my thread path, and all I have to do is remove that C2 needle, and I'll be able to do just a single chain stitch. Okay, we're all set. Now I've just went down from a 2 needle, I went from a 3 needle to a 2 needle to a single needle. Here we go. I love doing thread play on a serger. It is so much fun. And I love the single needle look. Check it out right here. Single needle called a chain stitch, triple cover stitch. This is a narrow double cover stitch. The only other cover stitch I didn't do was the wide, which would be the needle on C1 and C3. So we're going to do that. See what that one looks like. And I'm going to rethread my C1 thread path. Let me get my thread going here. Come here, you. Come here, you. If I can get a hold of it. There we go. Ew. And click, up and over, and behind the little bar. Now I'm going to reinsert one of my needles into C1. There we go. Easy peasy. I'm going to engage my threading mechanism. Because remember, I have the Triumph, so this machine will thread my needle for me. Which is something I just really think is cooler than goat cheese. And that's threaded. And we'll close her back up. And now we're all set to do a wide double cover stitch. Let's see what that looks like in this Hidamari thread from Japan. Very nice. So I think I actually like that better than the triple, to be perfectly honest. Check this out. Here is the 2-thread wide cover stitch. It looks more like embroidery. The single needle chain stitch, the triple needle cover stitch, and the 2 needle narrow cover stitch. This one really looks nice. They all do. But yay, so much fun with these threads. I love thread. I'll be the first to admit it. I have an addiction to thread, okay? And side note, what you get to play with, once again, look at this cute little piece of, that's actually a tail end, but you know what? It is strong. It's like you just made your own cotton ribbon. You could then make this and take it over and wind it on a machine bobbin and do bobbin work with it. Oh my goodness, what fun would that be, right? Pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to swap my camera back over there, and I'm going to set it up for a 3-thread rolled hem. And let's see here. This camera? Yes. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to back this up a bit. Okay. So let me pull this up, and I'm going to cut this thread. Okay, there's that. There we go. Okay. I'm going to raise that up and drop that foot off. What I had on was, this is the chain cover stitch foot. That's the foot that I was using there. Let me grab a different foot. I'm going to use, let's see here. I am going to use the foot that came with the machine. Is that it? No, that's not it. It is the BL foot right here. The foot that comes standard with our Sergers. Okay. So I've already got my chain looper cut. Let me open this up and take this one off. And put the knife cover on. Unlock the knife. I'm going to turn this to a number 2 length for the rolled hem. And I'm going to drop this down to D, I think. And I'm going to set my cutting blade up for that's 3.0, its narrowest width. And I'm going to snip my thread cones right at the cone. My thread's going to my cones. And press your foot up, then I'm just going to hold on to my one tail and just going to pull these out to the front. And just pull them all the way out. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to take these needles off, and I'm going to put my needle in. I'm going to put my needle in the O2, the rightmost needle. Okay. Make sure it's snug. Okay. And then we're ready to thread. I'm going to move this from chain to overlock. Put my levers down. Oops, can't do that yet though. I have to raise up my upper looper. There we go. Flip my subsidiary looper cover back to its open position. I was doing some 2-thread flat locks week before last and hadn't removed that. Swip that back to regular. There we go. Now we're ready to thread. So I'm going to thread my needle first. Doesn't matter what order you thread these in, but I'm going to thread my O2 needle. And that would go right here. Okay. Now I'm not looking at my threading guide. I think I might have this one. We'll see. Although I must admit, I really rely. It's like a crutch for me. As much as I've done it, I should have it memorized. But you know what? It is what it is. So I'm going to thread my needle. Okay, needle's threaded. I'm going to put on my presser foot. There we go. And then I'm going to thread my upper and lower looper. Now when you're doing a 3-thread rolled hem, the thread you'll see the most of, so your decorative, if you're doing it with a decorative thread, you want that to be in your upper looper. So that's what I'm going to move. I'm going to put my Cosmo thread, my Hidamari thread, in my upper looper. Now I might have to use a threading cradle on this because these loopers have a few more turns in them than what that chain looper does. And this is a very thick thread. Yeah, so I'm going to make me a threading cradle. Let's see. Just use this red, it's easier to see. Come here, you. Where are you? There you are. Let's get you lined up. There we go. And we're going to run these through the upper looper. It already came out. Take that foot off. I usually wait and put my foot on at the very last second. It's easier for my fingers to work around the knife blade that way. Then I'm going to take the loop that I formed with my threading cradle and put about 2 or 3 inches through of the thick decorative thread, the Hidamari Sashiko thread. Come on, you. There you go. Then we're just going to pull it through. Okay. And then I'm going to put this red thread in the bottom looper. I'm using red just so it contrasts really well. This is going to go in the lower looper and just makes it easier to see everything. Do that for demo in real life. I would match my threads more than likely. Okay. Now we'll put this through the lower looper. There's that. And she's all threaded. Okay. Now I'll put on my foot. And I have my length set at 2 on the rolled hem side. I have this set at 3. I'm actually going to put that down to an M, I think. No, I'll leave it at 3. We'll see how that looks. And I have a raw edge. Well, let's see here. Let me grab a piece of fabric so we can really see what this rolled, say if you were doing a napkin edge, you would have, that's what a rolled hem is used for in many ways, or the bottom of a garment. You would just have a single layer of fabric going through, so that's what we're going to do here. Okay. So, put it back up to serging, close the doors, and we're off. Lower that foot. And there it is with the rolled hem. Pretty. Actually, that could actually probably use even a little more spacing. I'm going to go to 2.5. That is really tight. So I'm just going to go down the other side of it here. Let's see what 2.5 looks like. Nope, 2 was better. Have some little pokies happening here at 2.5. There's the 2.5. It still looks good. Then there's the original one at 2.0 on the stitch length. I'll take this over to the other machine in front of the computer with the other camera. Maybe you can see it a little bit better over there where there's a little more light. This is with the stitch length set at 2. Put a little bit more light on it. There we go. Set at 2. And there it is set at 2.5. And you know, if you've done rolled hems before to Serger, you probably know sometimes you have to do this to smooth it out. Okay? Not sure what I just call it the smoothing process because that's what you do. You smooth it out and actually just like you're closing a Ziploc bag, it'll just smooth that seam out if you need to. Sometimes on a woven fabric you need to.